Welcome back in, everybody. We are here for the pro draft between these two teams. That is Team DPS and Team Trebuchet. I am Yanni. I'm still here with RareAdam. And Adam, it was a very interesting first game.
Yeah,
That
really,
much can be said.
just really interesting draft coming through, and already some new picks hitting the table here. You can see that
Ooh.
Karthus banned away from. I need to switch these sides, I believe. Do I need to switch these sides? I think I need to. I do need to switch these sides. Yeah, I do. Okay, they switched sides. Yeah. So yeah, DPS is on your blue side, and Trebuchet on. No, DPS on red side, Trebuchet on blue side.
Yes.
I'm going to switch that. Yep. Let's fix that.
Yeah. So let me tell you, the bands that have come through so far, Team DPS, they've taken care of that Kennen, the Vladimir, and the Karthus this time is going to be ousted. So interesting choice there, as that's something that Staples. I mean, they don't really play too much. Meanwhile, on the side of Trebuchet, they took care of the Soraka, the Cho'Gath, and the Seraphine. So they are trying to force Fear Sparrow onto something else. Trebuchet went with their first pick, Rel. DPS followed it up with Diana Lulu, and Diana is really a champion that you do not want Staples to be able to get their hands on. So I think it's a pretty good pick away from DPS.
Yes, the Diana jungle right now just really strong because you're able to clear through the jungle so quickly, and Talus sort of bring out or Trebuchet, sorry, Staples going to be playing the Trundle here. It is going to be more of an assassin style from Talus, so that's what we've come to expect out of them thus far in this league. But the Jinx with the Rel paired up here, I've had some mixed opinions on Rel. I don't think she's the best champion right now. I think she sort of falls into the category of only good in pro and only good when played properly. Kind of sucks anywhere else because it's really difficult to find those coordinated engages sometimes. Even when you are in fives, it can be really challenging to make that champion stick and work.
Yeah, and against the Tristana Lulu, I feel like you're going to be encountering heavy resistance from any potential engage. And Tristana, for connection, that's their bread and butter. They are a Tristana main when it comes to solo queue, and they played Tristana to solid effect last week, and we see that Dreams is going to run it back on this Jinx. They were able to get an early lead last game. Let's not get it twisted. But against Connections Tristana, I'm not sure if the same opportunities will be afforded to them.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging because Connections Tristana here is just known for being really good. We looked at the win rates there. Something like 60% win rate on that champion, and solo queue has been playing it a whole bunch. Very comfortable overall on that champion, and when you put it with a Lulu, it gives you that sort of late game safety that Tristana sometimes needs. Granted, we talked about how Tristana can fall victim to exhaust being more prevalent in the bottom lane, so if it is Jinx taking that, she has that agency to sort of prevent Tristana from getting back out with the Flame Chompers, and with all of these bans now taken into account here, everything just focused on that mid lane by the looks of it.
Yeah, it looks like Alice Kander is done dealing with the pesky annoyance known as Lysandra. That one fell by the wayside, as well as the Vex going out. Trebuchet taking care of the Victor and the Yasuo. And the first pick of the second half of the draft for DPS, a Wukong, a champion that we haven't seen in quite some time.
Yeah, and it's interesting because if this goes top lane for Quaggart, it's different compared to what we've seen in the past come through. There's sort of knock-up central already here with the Diana, with the Lulu ultimate. Tristana has a knockback. Wukong has that Cyclone as well. So the Yasuo ban makes a whole lot of sense here because Diana Yasuo is just something to fear. But really curious what Aliskander clears this comp out with because you've got a lot of damage. I'm curious maybe if Aliskander goes for one of those more supportive picks again, but Veigar coming through in that mid lane means things will be a little bit different.
Yeah, it looks like Zagan has decided they are going to play the farm it up game and deal a bunch of damage. And Veigar, a personal favorite of mine, super dangerous. And if you manage to put Wukong in the cage mid-cyclone, there's not too much impact that they can put on the rest of the team fight. It's a good way of stopping Diana as well. And an interesting follow-up here for looks like it'll go to Aliskander. It's a Xerath.
Yeah, Xerath mid lane here. Going to be curious to see how this plays out into the Veigar. You do outrange the Veigar, which is really important. It is very difficult for Veigar to really catch you out with that event horizon. And realistically, Xerath is going to be so far away from literally everyone this entire fight that I'm curious to see how they're going to kill him. unless they're hard diving onto that back line. So very curious overall to see how it plays out, as Rel has a good engage, but it's pretty short range. Gnar has some decent engages if they're able to hop. It's difficult as well, and Trundle's never going to get that pillar down, so Xerath should feel very safe in these lanes, and if they're able to get to that mid game where 1-2 items, we should see Aliskander really be able to pump out that damage.
Hey, listen, they get some first strike in there. Let me tell you. I mean, I don't know. What do you take at Xerath at this point? I think
first strike is a good answer. There's also the option of moving towards some of the other options as please work. Just why won't
I saw something crazy before they got into the champion select. So I'm a little weirded out right now.
Yeah, I'm weirded out as well. I saw the exact same thing.
Yeah. So we don't know, but apparently this Diana might not actually be a Diana. But
no, 100% he's memeing.
Well,
it's Talus, okay? We know this guy. He memes. He memes too much.
Right? Yes. But no, it could be a Wukong in the jungle, and a Teemo top lane.
I'm gonna say no. Yeah, we're gonna find out really soon. You know what?
We're gonna find out in a second.
Nothing is working properly anyways.
It's Wukong. We're good.
It's fine.
It scared me for a second. All right, so it's going to be hard for Trebuchet to do anything against the Xerath, unless the Xerath steps up a little bit too far, And while we don't necessarily want to say, it's only onus for a player to make a mistake, it happens at this level.
Yeah, mistakes happen, and especially when Aliskander doesn't have any sort of extra mobility to get out of these plays. It's not going to be Rocket Belt Xerath, although that would be really funny to see. Zygon's going to have to be incredibly proactive in trying to find these plays in the early game when Xerath doesn't have as much damage from range, isn't as safe. You have to call Staples Official over. You have to potentially call the roams up from Red Strike to find some kills onto the Xerath, because I feel like once you get to that later stage, Xerath's going to be so far away, firing on all cylinders, and it's going to be incredibly difficult to stay alive.
Listen, you need to make sure he doesn't get into the late career Steph Curry stage, or the mid career Steph Curry stage, I should say. Because let me tell you, early on in his career, Steph Curry not so great, injured a lot. That would be Xerath dying a lot. But then later on in the game, just hit you from downtown, and that is a very scary prospect. Overall, I mean, I like what Trebuchet's team composition is trying to do. It's just it doesn't work too well into a Xerath.
It doesn't really end up being too conducive because Xerath is going to stay so safe. The main thing that Trundle, I think, is going to be focused on is shutting down Your Bad Connection jumping in, Talus jumping in, Quagert jumping in. There's a lot of dive potential still on the side of DPS where they want to move forward. They want to use this Wukong Diana combo to sort of pick up kills, and Tristana is going to be that main focal point for your late game damage as well. I think if Dreams and Red Strike are able to sort of shut down this lane a little bit better this time around, they might be able to take more advantage of that, because it is still, Jinx still does a whole bunch of damage. Like, Jinx is still one of the strongest AD carries in the game, but in a lot of ways, this Rel has to really feast in this early game. It is a feast or famine support pick. We've seen it from TSM, and it either works or it doesn't, and most of the time it hasn't worked thus far. So Red Strike really going to have the onus to try and carry this bot lane through to make sure Jinx is enabled as much as possible.
Well, anything that TSM has tried to do this season hasn't really worked. I think they're 1-9 now. True. Spoiler alert, sorry about that. But realistically, Red Strike just needs to not take poke and make their engages count, especially early on where Lulu is probably going to go help Pix and Glitterlance, so there wouldn't be a polymorph. So like that level 2 engagement seems like it'll probably be the most important one. But even then, I don't know if Jinx Rel has the power to be able to make it work for them, barring a catastrophic mistake.
Yeah, we'll have to see some sort of forward play. We have to see some sort of action around this bottom side for either of these lanes to really break out. But especially Tristana Lulu, they need to try and find these plays in the early game, because if Jinx is just 0-0 out of lane, she's going to be really happy against the likes of this Tristana, so long as Tristana doesn't roam up to the mid lane, which is another thing that we can mention. But, Tristana can push in lanes quick and roam around the map, so lots of different angles for this DPS composition to come through, but Trebuchet just need a really good comeback game here if they want to extend this series further.
And Trebuchet, they've been struggling so far this season, not the greatest of starts, but they can turn it all around here with a win in Game 2 against Team DPS. We are in the spectator delay, so we will see very shortly if they're able to make hay on this. Do not go anywhere, because when we return, we will take you to the Rift for Game 2 of this 3-game set between Team DPS and Team Trebuchet, with Team DPS trying to take the series. Welcome back, everybody. Yanni and Adam are back from their Twitter escapades. We are here into game 2 of this 3-game set, with Team DPS now being on the red side and Team Trebuchet being on the blue side. And I think my direct camera's broken, but I think we're okay. Are you okay?
Yeah, we've seen some stuff. That's
I mean, I wasn't gonna get into it.
That's all I'm saying. No, we're not getting into anything. We've seen some stuff.
There's some wild shit trending on Twitter right now. Wild stuff. Sorry, Ito.
We've seen some stuff. That's all I will say.
All right, so it looks like the team's with a pretty standard start here, and really, we got to talk about this top lane matchup. Quegert, this is not in the wheelhouse.
Yeah, it wasn't in the script. I don't think that I've ever seen this blasphemy come out from a team thus far in our short BTL season. But no, the Wukong into the Gnar matchup, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Wukong in the early game. Not like a tank where you can just walk forward and just deal with it, but OP Ivy here going to have to try and put the hammer down a little bit harder on this Wukong because of how much agency they're able to get in that later stage. And especially since Mininar has some pretty trash base stats here, it can mean some pretty good things for the likes of this Wukong in the matchup, especially when you get that the Q, the empowered auto attack there. It can do a big chunk of damage.
Looks like Comet was the rune of choice for Alice Canner, but take a look at these junglers. They've started with mirrored jungle pathing starts. Where do you think that's going to take them?
I mean, Diana's full clearing. That's a guarantee. Diana not full clearing would be sort of grief. It's usually 6 camps and to look for a gank probably top side or mid lane here. For the Trundle, though, Trundle has a lot of options. Can potentially just go to that red buff and look for the play, but here comes the crash down.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to do all too much. Red Strike, you took a very bad trade there. Look at all the damage from Connection. Oh. They're just going for it. The enemy down, the flashes have been burnt, and it's first blood going over to Sparrow.
Yeah, Sparrow going to be able to pick that one up. It would have been better on the Tristana, but all summoners used there. Red Strike, of note, took Guardian on Rel. Why? I hate it.
Just trying to be the Guardian, bro. What can you say?
I mean, it's for me, it's just that Rel is so reliant on like either Glacial to have that utility to be able to provide that extended crowd control, or Aftershock, because when you crash down, you know, you don't have that movement speed to get out of there. So a little bit of a head scratcher from me in that sense. But oh, here comes Trundle.
Yeah, Trundle trying to come around from the side as it looks like they've gotten the angle. The traps are down. Red Strike whiffing on that one. Connection trying to deal as much damage as they can. They're going to try to leap out of there, but they are slowed. The exhaust will follow as well, and it looks like that is all she wrote. Staples chomping down onto that Tristana, getting a kill. Solo kill there for the jungler. Not a solo kill, I'm sorry. Just they got a solitary single kill. Speaking of solo kills, we might see one soon as Alice Canner and Zagan going at it. Quegert being attacked by Op Ivy, but Talus has joined the party. The flash by Quegert. Op Ivy used their escape to engage. They have flashed away, but Talus is chasing them down. You just got to land the Q, buddy. But Op Ivy with the schmoves on him will be able to walk out of there, but will be down a flash.
Yeah, some good step back plays there from Op Ivy there. Will be able to stay alive and still has a CS lead over Quegert here, but this is the difficulty of this top lane matchup. Quegert was forced to flash as well, was forced back pretty significantly there, and now not getting the best of pushes into this tower means that they're most likely going to have to burn their teleport to get back to lane, and Quegert opting for the teleport flash as opposed to sometimes the teleport ignite that we see out of even Wukong's means that they don't have as much solo kill pressure, so this Gnar is going to control this lane for the foreseeable future at least.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe that's just how Quegert is as a player, and it looks like they've just opted into, okay, I'm going to have a flash to be able to get deeper into team fights and go for knock-up and really play for the team.
And that's an honorable thing to do. I think in the end, you can look for those plays instead of the solo kill potential, but we talked about how trash base Gnar stats are. Like, Mini-Gnar sucks. Just as a champion, you really pick Mini-Gnar to bully out, it's why they are top laner and not, anywhere else, because top laners, you have tanks, you have bruisers and stuff. They're not that great at dealing with ranged matchups. So that's really where Gnar finds the power. And then you turn into a real champion once you go mega, but you're gated by that rage bar. And in a lot of ways, Op Ivy can only really fight Quaggart by not taking any damage, so by kiting them out. But this mid lane, Aliskander in trouble.
Oh no, the pillar
Ghost?
took the Xerath out of the dark matter. The ghost has been expended. No flash for Aliskander, but Sparrow will be able to back him up, as now Aliskander is just trying to go out and make plays. Meanwhile, on the top lane, Ivy finds himself once again in a compromising position, but Talus whiffs the Q, dashes in, gets stunned, and that'll be that.
Yeah, I think they might have not seen the E used by Op Ivy to jump out, so Talus putting a lot of eggs into the top lane basket here for Quaggart, and I mean, Quaggart has been a very strong player for the side of DPS, so not too surprising, but, you know, your bot lane is a Tristana Lulu. There's potential. Just farm to 6 and go bot lane. It's a double kill waiting to happen, especially with Red Strike not having that innate tankiness with the Aftershock instead going for the Guardian, so it makes it an easier lane to gank.
Yeah, but, and yeah, especially with Dreams and Red Strike pushing up here, as long as you were able to control vision, I mean, it could be just free real estate for Talus, but they're not opting into it, and with the bot lane pressure that they have, it looks like the side of Trebuchet will be able to take the first break of the game.
Yeah, it's going to be them able to get a little bit more early advantages on this bottom side of the map. The Jinx is providing them a lot more agency, you know, didn't go down, has a little bit of a CS lead, so able to sort of control the map a little bit more. And, you know, Talus is just going to keep farming. That's what the Diana wants to do. They're going to go for an invade here. Off Ivy, though.
Oh, no. Quaggart went in for it, and then now he's going to hit the Cyclone. Hold on. Get him. Quaggart! Oh, no!
Why'd you cancel it?
He put the moves on him. He put the schmoves on him, canceled his own auto attack. He went from bronze to challenger to bronze within a couple of seconds, and now Talus is going to be able to flash and dash and get out of there with the kill.
I'm cringing, like, just because of...
From bronze to challenger, back down to bronze within a split second.
Quaggart had that. He didn't need to cancel the ults. That's the, like, canceled the ults, went for the auto attack, and then
canceled that too.
Yeah, it's... you know, too many actions happening at the same time. It can happen.
Yeah.
It's just really, really
There's a lot of pressure in that scenario, too.
Yeah.
Like, you're about to die.
They were like, both living with a sliver of health. And I mean, realistically, that could have ended in just a strict 1-for-1 there, because the auto attack, I think, would have killed Quaggart anyways from the Gnar. So it's really close. It's really close to call. But at the very least, Talus able to pick that one up. Aliskander, though, in trouble.
Looks like he's going to try to walk away. He has been slowed. He's going to get the stun down onto Staples. And Op Ivy is coming to the party. It looks like that'll be all she wrote for Aliskander. Primordial Burst. Doing a heck of a lot of damage. Aliskander will pay for it with a death timer.
Yep. The Primordial Burst is going to start to stack up, but thus far in this lane, Zagon hasn't had the best of times laning into the Xerath. As we mentioned, the range advantage is going to mean a lot, and we've seen Staples Official come through multiple times to try and clean that up, but it's still really challenging. But Quaggart now going aggressive, doesn't have that ultimate quite yet. Oh boy.
No, there's a lot of fighting going on everywhere, and Staples just beating the tar out of Talus. Down goes Talus. Op Ivy flashing forward, firing a boulder at the monkey. And there's solo kills all around the map right now. And Team Trebuchet, they're showing up this game.
They're showing up and showing out here. You can see topside already in 1,000 gold lead for this Gnar. The rest of the map contributing to that gold lead, as well as even in the bottom lane, a slight gold advantage for this Jinx as well. It's boding really well, and despite Talus just continuously farming up throughout this early game, hasn't really been able to find any impactful ganks. And you know, you're level 7 now, you have that ultimate, make your play, but opts to just keep farming it out here, while Staples Official is able to move around the map, make some plays with the pillar, and looking on this bottom side of the map again. Lulu's dead.
Tristana's going to have to jump out of there, but Lulu has... Oh, no, never mind. Lulu with the flash. Connection going to be able to hop out of there. And now here comes Aliskander trying to get in as much damage as they can. The stun's going to go down onto the Rel. It looks like they have turned it around onto Red Strike. The flash with Ignite. It looks like Aliskander will take that one and will try to drop the ultimate on top of their heads, trying to deal as much damage as possible. Flash down. Dreams is very low. Sparrow trying to find a way out, but they will be traded 1-for-1 there, as it's a shutdown for Aliskander. They managed to find 2 in this fight, potentially looking for more now that they have the blue buff.
Yeah, and it was a little bit of a disjointed play there, as the flash forwards from Staples official a little bit unnecessary. Lulu able to stay alive for a lot longer than expected there, but overall, I think that the play could have gone a little bit smoother, especially since Red Strike didn't use that Magnet Storm. You know, it doesn't have the aftershock. I keep harping on it, but it's so important to get that burst of resistance. It makes you so tanky. Yeah. And Rel now just isn't a factor. Oh, is Zagan taking a bunch? Here comes the Magnet Storm, keeping them in.
Oh no, Connection, you gotta get out of there. Will be ignited and the shield is down as Sparrow there just in time. Talus will be able to get the Gromp, but I don't think they can 1v1 Staples. Here comes the Moonfall, but Staples just does so much damage right now.
Yeah, Staples is fed. And building towards that Trinity Force. The Gnar building towards that Trinity Force as well.
How can the Staples be fed if the Staples near me is closed?
Oh. That's interesting. I didn't know Staples could eat as well, so...
They eat paper, don't they?
I mean, they eat, like, such minuscule amounts of paper. Like, staple removers eat more paper than Staples.
I mean, if you don't staple correctly the first time, then I suppose...
Yeah.
Lots of damage coming out of the top side.
Yes,
that's the trouble. Is really what we're trying to get at here. Listen, Staples has played an excellent game and is looking for just more here, forcing the flash of Alice Cannon. Look at the attack speed.
It's pretty nutty. It's a lot coming through. You know, has
Overtuned champ.
Hearthbound Axe has the lethal tempo. Trundle goes to Pound Town. Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Talus is here, but Talus does not have the ultimate used onto Sparrow, as they will be able to survive. And Zagan just doing what they can to farm up. We get a stack check on the Veigar, currently at 77.
Yeah, it's going incredibly well for the side of Trebuchet. They're really looking to get back up on their feet here and start to put the hammer down on these members. And, you know, 4-1-1 on this Trundle, 2-1-1 on this Gnar with a pretty massive CS lead here. This bot lane really isn't able to answer. Your bad connection just really sort of been irrelevant this game thus far, has been unable to really connect with the rest of their team and find any sort of proactive plays on this bottom side of the map.
Hey, you know what? Last game, Dreams was 4-0, and they lost the game, so... Yes. You know, Trebuchet is in a very similar position to where they were last game. And Talus looking to make a play here. The Moonfall is going to land. Strike is very low. Dreams gets there first. The Dragon goes down. Staples is the one to take that connection. Was not able to link up with the rest of the team. It's a 2-for-1 in favor of Team Trebuchet, and they secure the second Drake of the game.
Yeah, and that was with an awful Jinx ult that just ended up being a field goal. Like, you don't get points in League of Legends for, you know, splitting the uprights, but here comes the play in the mid lane.
Alice Kander's got nowhere to go. You only have Ghost trying to bob and weave, doing as much damage as they can to the Veigar. And the minions enough. The minions will get him! It's a 1-for-1 in the mid lane. But Op Ivy has been just absolutely rolling Quagert right now as the top turret has fallen.
Quagert's not having a Quagert performance here thus far. You know, still working on that Divine Sunder. The Trinity Force is now complete.
Tank only player.
We can say it in a nicer way. Oh, that's a big shutdown.
Massive, especially on Talus. We know that once Diana gets a couple of items, Diana can go hog wild on teams. They're going to drop the Rift Herald here to get as much turret platings as they possibly can before they expire. Unfortunately, don't have the minions to be able to get one more, and Shelly doesn't have the attack speed to get that. But you know what? It's more gold in the pocket of this Diana.
Yeah, Talus able to find a really good shutdown. I think a little bit too greedy from Staples to overextend there. And Op Ivy now in trouble. Not Mega yet.
Sun is out. Yep. There's another kill there. It's going over to Talus. You got to stop this guy before he really gets going.
Yeah, Talus has shown time and time again that they are a very, very strong
Ultimate Alice Pander. Come on. You got a couple seconds on it.
Oh. Go on.
Fire. Fire.
No. He's not going to do
it. Lame-o.
Lame plays, but, you know, sometimes you just need to save that for a rainy day. But they're going to get mid lane tower.
Yeah.
So it's going to bode well for Aliskander here. Talus finally able to get up off of the ground a little bit more. And I think really the only place that you need to start putting some more focus is...
Oh my god, look at the damage he does.
Wow.
The gold lead is evaporated too, by the way.
Like, as I'm saying, like, the only thing that they need to do is sort of get this Tristana a little bit more gold, a little bit more agency, and that could be provided by Talus on this Diana. That's how they're going to be able to get this game under wraps a little bit more, because right now, that's really the only angle that the side of Trebuchet still have over the side of DPS, is that they can push through this bottom side of the map, and they can use this Jinx Rel combo that, despite the Rel struggling a little bit, the Jinx has still been able to scale up really well. That's really where your power points are still lying.
And listen, we talked about in the last game, Trebuchets do not scale well. They get outpaced by the wonders of modern warfare. And we see Team Trebuchet, they're here in the early game, like they're making plays happen, but as the game goes on, it feels like they just kind of lose their effectiveness.
Yeah, it's like they're starting to trip over their own feet a little bit. Here comes the play on top side.
Yep, and he's going to go right on top of Zagan. Quagger trying to bob and weave, but will get blown up, and burns his flash for it. 0-3-1 for Quagger, and Zagan gets a lot whenever you get a kill at this point.
Yeah, Zagan has 125 bonus AP already stacked up on that phenomenal evil power, and with the Ludens here going for that heavier damage profile here. Talus, though, under this tower.
Nope, his tanking turret is going to Zhonya's, and they just don't have any way to possibly tank this. Dreams, are they going to be able to find a way out? The last shot from Aliskander will be enough to get the kill. Sparrow managing to stay alive as Red Strike does not have the damage. Are they going to die for it? No, Talus biffs the Q. And now Op Ivy is going to be able to pick up Talus there pretty much for free. Red Strike barely able to survive. It ends up being a 1-for-1 overall.
Yeah, really surprising that they were able to make that dive happen. It looked absolutely grief from the beginning, but Aliskander able to come over the top with that ultimate, the Red of the Arcane there, just tossing that down, doing a big chunk of damage, and Zagan almost finds another one.
This is exactly what Connection needed, though.
Yes, Connection gets some alone time on this bottom side of the map, able to pick up a tower, and should be able to complete that mythic. Aliskander in trouble.
No, he's just going to walk it out. No summoners even needed to be burnt there. They certainly tried to make that play happen.
And try as they might, not able to find the Xerath, who just has too much range. That's the thing. They don't need to be walking right up into the face of the minion wave to farm it out. They can be sitting under their tower to find it. As Red Strike thus far this game, it's been really tough to evaluate this rel because it's trying its best, but it just doesn't feel like it's enough. But here comes the fight.
Yep, Staples trying to make a play happen. Here comes the teleport from Quagger on the other side. Nar trying to find a way in as well. Talus trying to do what he can with the move ball, but not enough. And now, in the middle of the fight, trying to bust on him is Quagger, and now Aliskander from the backside. Are they going to be able to make a play happen?
Connection
trying to kite this one out desperately. Will be able to find Zagan. Is leaping away. Look at the kiting out of the Tristana. Isn't enough. No, they ran out of attack speed. They will fall. And now Op Ivy trying to put on the dancing shoes here. The Staples will just be able to survive. And man, if Connection just had a little bit more attack speed, that Trundle falls. What an incredibly close fight, but it just looks like DPS, they're able to edge out the victory, and now they're on Soul Point.
Yeah, Staples was saved by Hexdrinker there, able to give just that little bit of shield to negate some of the damage from your bad connection. That ends up being the difference maker there. Is overall just a really close fight around that dragon there. Ends up going the way of Trebuchet, and now they've got themselves on Soul Point here. They're up 2,000 gold.
Aliskander, what are you doing?
Staying alive.
Sparrow's here. Wait a minute. Come on, do something. The flash forward, the auto attack. It's not enough. It's not enough. They biff the play once again. Although Staples, no, they're just doing an excellent job of tap dancing out of turret range. And like a thief in the night, they come in and get the kill on Aliskander. Now Talus is trying to make something happen, but has been stun locked. Here comes the Moonfall. It doesn't have enough damage right now. Zagan is going to be able to flash away. And now Dreams is just pounding on Talus right now. Primordial Burst will find a kill. Jinx. Oh, no, can't quite get the kill with the Zap and does not have Super Mega Death Rocket available. It's a 2-for-0. And this is going to be Turgold going over to Team Trebuchet. They have come out with a fire after DPS pulled it closer. Trebuchet beginning to pull away.
Trebuchet coming back into this, really putting on a show at this point. Able to find a lot of great map movements, find a lot of really strong fights, and 4,000 gold lead now starting to come through. well, 3.8 thousand gold for the side of Team Trebuchet. There's still some angles to win this game, but they're starting to close quicker and quicker. A lot of this has to come down to this Diana finding multiple members with that ultimate, able to get on top of on top of Dreams, on top of Zagan, on top of Op Ivy, if anything, to find these team fight plays. But this Tristana just not able to find as much damage in the team fights as what Dreams has been able to do, and it's making it incredibly difficult for this team DPS to be able to find enough damage.
Yeah, and realistically speaking, if you're Team DPS, you do want to scale up here, but Team Trebuchet, they're no slouches when it comes to the scaling either, in terms of the Jinx and the Veigar.
I think that a lot of their power is going to come through the scaling from Trebuchet. You know, you have Jinx, you have Veigar, they scale incredibly well into the later stages. You have to try and find these fights to win at this point. If you are the side of Team DPS, you need to try and find a 4-for-0, go into Baron, go into Preventing Soul. You need to find an inhibitor or something, but it feels like they've just been left behind the curve a little bit, and this gold lead is starting to speak for itself, especially when amplified by the scaling potential.
Yeah, they just don't have the damage right now, and they just need more time, but the problem is time is not on their side. And really, they have a hard time dealing with staples. You know, Trundle's a champion that just runs at you, but they don't have anybody to stop that. And Quager, what?
What?
Okay, Gert. Well, that's just an in. I mean, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it. That's an in, bro. Come on. What are you doing? You have to expect everything to be up there. You could have just gotten the turret. You know, like you dodged the dark matter. You could just get the turret there. It's okay. Just don't touch the Veigar. And Op Ivy is going to be able to get solo turret golden. I mean, really, it looks like Team DPS, they might just be mentally checked out.
Yeah, it's starting to become a little bit difficult, and especially with what we know about this team and what we can observe, it seems like they are a team that really thrives when they have lead. Like, they're a team that's very strong from ahead. And that sounds like a really weird thing to say because, like,
Aren't most teams?
Duh, you know, if you're winning games, then you're good from ahead. But realistically, DPS does have a really strong comeback victory last week as well against Team Spectre that they might be able to replicate here. It's just trying to find this scaling that really makes it difficult for me. Staples is going to be sort of the anti everyone at this point. You know, really difficult for your bad connection to jump in right into the teeth of a Titanic Hydra Trinity Force Trundle who's just gonna bonk down on you like they do not care. So that's what makes it difficult for me, and Quager doesn't really have the same level of tankiness that they had in the previous game. They're gonna have to try and find a way back into this one. Getting that tower is gonna help them, but these fights you need to play them extremely well if you are Team DPS.
Objective bounties, baby. But, you know, just taking a look. Oh, wait a minute. This is a huge pick on the Zagan. Oh! They're going to fall. Big shutdown. Now here comes the teleport. Quager trying to come in and maybe make something happen. And now Staples on top of Sparrow. Staples is trying to get a kill, and they will manage to find the Tristana now.
They found him!
It's a big shutdown. Op Ivy is here.
Oh,
Dreams
no!
over the wall.
Dreams.
We'll be able to find Talus. Are they going to be able to find Sparrow? But Quager with a heads-up play to go over the wall. Now Alexander's going to try to kite this one out using that ultimate, but he is not able to find a kill on the Dreams yet. No, it was an invisible Q, and Arcana Pulse will be able to find a kill. Op Ivy on the backside was able to find Sparrow. It's now a 2v2. Quager engaging onto Ivy. Alexander just trying to bang from a range, but they managed to get on top of Alexander now to 2v1. Quager taking a whole lot of damage. He's going to try to focus on the red strike, but he gets knocked up, and he does fall. It's Op Ivy picking up a double kill. And really, that was a perfect fight for Team DPS, but Trebuchet manages to outlast them regardless.
They're able to stay alive for so long. You know, this Jinx over the wall, just able to find so much damage out of nowhere. And I think the main thing that started that off is Talus falling right at the beginning of that sort of second half of the fight there. Goes down to the Jinx. Jinx is able to turn onto Fierce Sparrow, deal a bunch of damage as well, ends up taking them out. And from there, like, it was difficult for Alexander and Quager to kite that out. It's against Aurel, who has such low cooldowns, is able to consistently hop back up, jump back down, hop back up, jump back down with so much crowd control, and finally able to find a fight where this realm makes a tangible difference. And it was massive in that fight. They were able to find so much crowd control to give enough time for Op Ivy to do all the damage they needed to.
Absolutely crazy fight. Red Strike certainly trying to get back into your good graces, Adam.
Yes,
And
honestly, and it worked.
yeah, and you know what? We got to give them a lot of credit, as right now they've taken the Ocean Soul, and it looks like it's all Team Trebuchet here. As Team DPS, the most heal cut they have is out of Fierce Sparrow right now. They have no heal cut anywhere else.
They're just going to go
Things
for
on
this
the back
bear.
end.
They're pulling the trigger, but this is going to be known. There might be a big fight off of this. Talus, though, oh boy.
Talus, oh no, they got hit by the Dark Matter, and now they walked into the stun! Oh no!
Oh, Red Strike.
I am in physical pain and anguish.
Oh no, he
it's a
flashed
double
into
kill
it!
for Op Ivy, as everybody's just flashing into the Vagar cage.
Oh.
Quager in the middle of fight. It's a triple kill for Op Ivy, and Alice Kander can only watch as his team falls around him. Oh man, dude.
The cool kids would call it a big yikes. That was a pretty big yikes there. Talus walking into the event horizon. Your bad connection. Flashing into the event horizon. Fierce Sparrow getting pulled back by the Magnet Storm, and then Quager just getting caught out. It's a
No. Quager going into a 1v5.
Yes, that as well. It's a series of unfortunate events, and it's really difficult to find the saving grace at this point for Team DPS because they are falling so far behind. 8,000 gold down. This Gnar now has 3 completed items. This Trundle 3.5 items. This Vagar has 255 stacks on that phenomenal evil power. They are underflowing Gen 1 Pokemon games with how much bonus.
It's got 754 AP right now, and like you mentioned
2
earlier,
items,
going the more aggressive build. Opted into Ionian Boots, which is pretty interesting. I mean, the magic penetration is great, but like when you do have that much damage, I mean, you got the numbers on that?
It ends up giving you more Dark Matters come later on into the game because Dark Matter had that change where you basically get 10% off of that cooldown for every 50 AP. So right now, I'm just going to double check this as well. Cooldown currently reduced by 41% on.
It's a 3-second cooldown.
That's a 3.03 second cooldown. That means that in the duration that you were stunned, if the Dark Matter comes first, you can drop down another Dark Matter. And that just means that objectives, CAC W. That's all I'll say about those objectives.
You know, I've stolen a couple of Dragons and Barons with Vagar Dark Matter. That W does a ton of damage. And oh my, bleh. I mean, one of them is obviously fake, but just look at all the damage that was just dealt there. I mean,
Wukong doesn't have...
Quager is running scared. This is bad. Oh my god. Zagon able to find a kill. Talus trying to make something happen on the back line. Will be able to drop that ultimate, but Staples is just sustaining
TP?
Far too hard. Connection trying to find a way out, but lands on a Trundle pillar.
Dreams?
Will bust her shot, but it doesn't matter. It's a triple kill
Zagon!
for the Trundle. And the flash ultimate from the Vagar, putting the exclamation point on this game. Team Trebuchet, we had our doubts going into this game. They needed something to turn their season around. They get a statement performance out of Staples, and they win this game pretty convincingly in 28 minutes.
Hit the button. That was easy. Able to pick up a really clean victory, as you can see Talus buying some interesting items at the end just to show off how quick their mouse movements can be. But overall, great series coming through from Trebuchet and DPS thus far. You know, each a game apiece, but Trebuchet getting back into it in really convincing fashion. I really liked how they played that game out, and it showed that they have the means to win these games. They have that sort of killer instinct when necessary, and you know, backs up against the wall, they're looking poised to potentially take this series. As DPS, they look flustered at the end of that.
Yeah, and realistically speaking, you know, you see the power of these teams, and you know, from game 1 to game 2, and the AD carries have really not made their mark on this game. Like Dreams and Connection, they've been so quiet this entire series. We saw, you know, in the first game, Connection playing that Ashe and only picking up 2 kills, picks up another 2 here on their hallmark Tristana. The Team DPS, if they want to not lose this series to Team Trebuchet, who is ranked 8th in the power rankings, by the way, Connection needs to wake up and make something happen. You have to do something. Now, part of that has to do with Sparrow and Quagger. When Sparrow is not on Soraka and Quagger is not on a tank, this is a different team. And they do not look nearly as sharp.
It's interesting in how they sort of play out the game. When Quagger is on tank, it feels like they're just more comfortable on it, but it looks like they tried to get a little bit too fancy with it in a lot of ways, and it just didn't end up working out. So realistically, I'm curious to see how they will make this game 3 happen for either team, to see if Trebuchet can really have that killer instinct that we saw sparks of in this game, or if DPS are just going to stop messing around and take this game as it is.
We've gone from a best of 3 to a best of 1, Adam. We will have to see which team will come out on top between Team DPS and Team Trebuchet. Team Trebuchet, they have the momentum, and Team DPS needs to find an answer, and they will hopefully find their answer as they prepare for the draft. We are going to cut away for the last pre-draft break of the evening, but when we return, we will be back with the pro draft between Team DPS and Team Trebuchet. It's Game 3. It's for all the marbles.